hear you okay,
Okay.
Dwayne.
I
Thank you so much for
apologize
joining
for
us
my
today.
voice. I am, yeah, no problem.
Go ahead,
Hold on a second. I'm
all
just,
yours.
all right. Hold on one second here. Try to get the team's background up.
No worries.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna, I'm sorry. I'm traveling, so I'm not in my usual
Don't worry
setup.
about it.
So you
Don't
can
worry
see my
about it.
screen okay? Everything's good?
Yes, I can see
All
your screen.
right.
I can hear you. You're good to go.
We will get things going then. All right. Let me just make sure. All right. Thank you, everybody. I know I believe I'm the last on this track here today. So thank you very much for having me. Great to be here on another Purview Day. Um, really enjoyed doing these events. I think this might be my third year doing a Purview Day. So very excited to be a part again and to be presenting. Thanks to Microsoft and Panthara, our sponsors for this event, and I believe I'm the last presentation, and the exciting prizes will be part of the following after my session. So welcome. We are going to talk about how to organize your data estate for artificial intelligence, specifically for like generative AI. And I am Dwayne Natwick. I am the CEO and owner of Captain Hyperscaler. We are a training organization for Microsoft, SACA, Accolade, AI certs, so many different trainings that we offer around AI, both professional and technical awareness, as well as things around cybersecurity, security governance, cyber resilience, and things of that nature. So here are my socials. So feel free to connect with me on any of them. And once we are finished today, feel free to reach out and ask any questions. So, in the short time we have here today, we're going to talk about some quick things around the evolution of AI and where we are currently in terms of AI and AI solutions, and um, uh, what we need to understand in terms of responsibility, in terms of data flow. The previous session talked a lot about sensitivity labels and data governance. How does that pertain to AI? I know you've had a lot of sessions around Microsoft data governance, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time specifically on that. You've had other sessions on that, especially the one that we just had. So thank you, Kanwal, for providing a good lead up to this presentation as well. And then we'll talk about generative AI responsibility. So there's lots of different types of AI, and we'll discuss those as well. And so let's talk about the AI revolution and AI responsibility, and how that pertains. AI is not new. If you're new to technology and everything, you may think, oh wow, everything that's happened over the last 18, 24 months with ChatGPT and Genesis and Bedrock and all of those things are new. They really aren't. I mean, we've been using AI for a long time. In the medical field has used it. Machine learning obviously has been very key to getting new vaccines out and things of that nature. But now, over the course with newer cloud technologies, we have gone to being able to be more creative with AI. We have these deep neural uh, uh, neural models, and we have the ability for large language models and a lot of high level compute capabilities with utilizing cloud technologies that we didn't have 10 years ago. And so that has really taken us to that next step in AI, which is the generative AI aspect, creating new written and visual types of content, using it for various aspects of life, and that's really where we are today. I kind of the way I liken it, I'm out of Michigan in the United States, which is considered the automotive capital of the world. I look at artificial intelligence and its evolution, and it is a lot like, if you think about the Industrial Revolution and where that has gone, and and building cars and automating and putting robotics in place. That's really kind of very similar to how we can look at artificial intelligence and machine learning is exactly that. We have taken another step. It's actually a pretty giant leap because of all of our capabilities that we have in terms of cloud technologies. So what do we do with AI, and how are we utilizing AI? We're utilizing it in a lot of different ways, and we've been using it in a lot of different ways. I always laugh with my wife because she's not a technologist, she's a teacher, and she mentions how how do you know so much about AI, because it's new, and it's not really new. We've been using things like machine learning, we've been using computer vision. If anybody has ever been in document management systems, which I worked for a document management company for a long time, and we did optical character recognition, 20 years ago almost. So it's been around a long time, being able to understand forms and put those in a digital aspect into, Salesforce and Workday and all of those different, Oracle and SAP and all those ERP systems, so that you can work with that data. We've been doing that for a long time. But the capabilities now with generative AI obviously open up the doors for everybody, and all of our citizen, kind of citizen developers and citizen users, and our people within our organization, and people within our personal lives, being able to use those things like generative AI really require a lot of responsibility, and just some things around AI workloads within Azure. They've been doing an awful lot of integration now with OpenAI into the machine learning, the cognitive services. They're obviously in the AI studio. Everything has worked its way in and has been all built into OpenAI, where you can use OpenAI for within AI Studio, with some of the other machine learning cognitive services aspects, as well. And then you can or you can use the classic features if you don't have an OpenAI subscription, or are using OpenAI. Um, so let's talk about responsibility and data flow, which is really what ultimately we have been. This presentation is focused around. Um, when we're thinking about AI and we're thinking about our data and what our data is being used for, this is a critical aspect of AI, and these are the principles of responsible AI. Some of the key ones that I really focus on a lot is obviously fairness. If you are building an AI service, you need to make sure that you are taking into account different cultures, different religions, different ways of life. You can't just have somebody from the US developing an AI model, and developing AI solutions without having that input from others. And that's really what it comes down to. Um, Reliability and safety. Obviously, we have autonomous vehicles and things like that, where maybe that where you might have life that might be compromised if AI models fail. Privacy and security. We'll talk more about that, obviously, because handling our data and our data workflow is going to be key. Making sure that we're training our classifiers and making sure our sensitive data is properly handled, properly labeled, is going to be very important, because we don't want to expose that sensitive data within our models, and we want to keep that segmented. And if we are needing to use that data, we need to make sure that that data is not placed out in the public forum, essentially. So those are aspects of the privacy and security, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Inclusiveness, inclusive, we need to make sure that we have inclusive nature to the utilization of AI. One of the aspects and an AI for good aspect of things is if you're from, you've seen people with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, and the fact that they generally eventually lose the ability to speak, and a lot of them have those wheelchairs that also have digital screens where they can speak to people by using visual triggers. That's a great way of inclusiveness utilizing AI. And they're doing more and more with AI to take old videos and old voicemails and things like that of the person that is has succumbed to ALS to put their voice in those uh, those um, those text to speech types of abilities and allow them to continue to have their voice, which is a very good positive way that AI is used. Um, Another key aspect, and one of the things that's really been a common theme around AI and generative AI, is accountability and transparency. Um, what are those tools? Where's my data going? All of those things. When ChatGPT came out, all the technologists were coming out and saying, "Oh, slow down! How you're using this? You got to know how we got to know how we're using it. We got to know where our information is going." And that becomes a very big aspect of responsible AI. So when we're thinking about the data flow and how AI works, we ingest that information from various data sources, and we then need to enrich that data and understand how that data is being used, and then we can explore that data. So that's not, and the way that when everybody starts talking about AI, um, the biggest thing that I say is around data and data governance is understanding what what the workflow is, and it's no different than any kind of data engineering workflow. We ingest data from somewhere. We then work with that data, we manipulate that data, and then we provide some sort of output for that data. And that is no different for any kind of data workflow, and AI is no different than that. So if we treat utilization of the AI tools and OpenAI and all these generative AI tools the same way we treat our data uh, every day, hopefully, in terms of governing our data and making sure that sensitive data isn't being exposed and isn't being leaked. We are handling our data responsibly, and that is a key aspect. So I put this up here, and I use this in this talk specifically to kind of break down that barrier of AI and generative AI, and how we're governing data in AI isn't any different than how we should be doing it otherwise. So all the things in the previous presentation that were being talked about, classifying data, finding sensitive data, the confidence levels in finding and mining that data and understanding where that is, and then segmenting that data, those sensitive data elements to from the non-sensitive elements, so that we are properly working with that data, and then we aren't presenting or exposing those sensitive data elements are no different than how we should be governing over data otherwise. So let's kind of talk a little bit about governance and AI. Um, it's having a vision, having a plan, and this was mentioned in the previous at the end of the previous presentation. If you aren't planning and you aren't understanding what data you have, you can't protect the data that you have, and that's a key aspect. So planning and understanding, having a clear vision, making sure that you're aligning the business and the technology vision. Um, using I don't like to use cliches, but failure to plan is a plan to fail is a common one. If you aren't planning properly, if you aren't looking at your data accordingly, you are going to have a problem ultimately. So, and what goes along with that is your risk strategy. What is your organizational risk tolerance? How are you handling risk within your organization? Um, Everything around data governance has to do with the tolerance that your organization has in the potential of data being exposed. And if that data is exposed, what is the impact of that exposure to your organization? And it's no different than when you're working with AI and machine learning. We want to make sure that we aren't putting ourselves at risk from a position of the AI, of our data uh, being and having sensitive data or confidential data or secret information exposed to the wrong people. And that strategy starts at the top. Again, having an alignment between the business and the technical aspects of things, having a organizational risk strategy, having a proper mission and business process around how data is being handled is going to determine your enterprise architecture, your security and privacy architecture, and how your information systems and your environment of operation are going to operate. And this is a continuous flow from top to bottom and bottom to top. I always say that a strong risk management framework starts at the top, where it is specific to the organization being an advocate for the entire organization, governing over data and watching over data, and it's executed, at the user level. And so, even going back to sensitivity labels and everything from the previous presentation, if the organization is not advocating and training and building awareness within the user environment, we are going to fail in terms of our governance of our data. And with that, um, understanding information protection and the framework actually of information protection, um, I always say you can't protect what you don't know, and what you don't know is there. And so, first and foremost, knowing your data. What data do you have? Again, building those classifiers and classifying the data, building sensitivity labels and policies in place on how data is used is going to ultimately protect against and hopefully shield you from potential data exposure. But you can't, without proper planning, without a proper risk management strategy, you cannot, um, you will not succeed. So you need to know your data before you can protect and prevent data loss, and then ultimately govern your data, as you know, and as stated in the previous presentation, governing your data is the constant process. Again, you can't protect what you don't know, and you can't protect what you aren't continuously watching over and monitoring as well, which is really what governing your data is going to establish. So, knowing your data sensitivity, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because this is the previous presentation. You can reference that and get a lot of information around the sensitive information types, the trainable classifiers, building labels, and building policies, and then protecting your data. Obviously, a whole lot of information protection capabilities within Microsoft and within Microsoft Purview to protect data, as well as working with Defender XDR um, in for security aspects. A lot of tie-ins between those two solutions within using Microsoft Sentinel and things of that nature from all of these different data sources. Having, you want to everybody, not, everybody isn't just working in Microsoft, right? We have on-premises solutions, we have non-Microsoft solutions. How are we protecting our data? That data is everywhere, and it continues to sprawl into different areas as well. So we want to make sure, again, we know where that data is, and then we look at what we're utilizing. And this is where things like Defender for Cloud Apps really comes into play in terms of understanding what our users are accessing and where they might be sending information across. We need to make sure we're governing over our data appropriately there. Preventing data loss prevention, or data loss protection solutions obviously are going to help. Sensitivity labels, building those sensitive classifiers and those sensitivity types are going to be key to all of that in terms of preventing data loss, and then governing your data. Once we know all that data and we've gone through all of those proper processes, now we need to continuously monitor, and that's what a lot of Microsoft tools are going to help us with. Purview is going to help us very key in that. So let's talk a little bit about Microsoft data governance. Obviously the Microsoft Purview portal has all of those ways to map our data, to understand and build policies and everything in place uh, to have our on-premises, our cloud, and our other applications from Microsoft 365 to Azure and everything else in here. Hold on one second. One second. Okay. I was getting some noise there. And understanding that data estate and using the Purview is going to be very helpful in the aspects of protecting and governing over our data, which those are all aspects that we need to continue to do. And from various, we can use, from all of our databases, all of our on-premises networks, all of our cloud solutions, all of our applications. We tie all that into Purview. We can then govern our data, and that is going to help us in the aspect of working with machine learning and artificial intelligence as well. How can Purview organize your data? First and foremost, data discovery. Understanding what data we have is a very key. Those are all going to be knowing your data. Again, if we don't know what data we have, we are going to have a situation, and we can't protect anything that the aspects of data that we don't understand and that we don't know. If we don't know where our sensitive data is, we haven't trained our trained and built awareness as an organization to continuously continuously monitor uh, and uh, and um, and govern over our data, we can't maintain levels of compliance. And that's going to be the same when it comes to AI. And again, it if you take away one thing from this presentation, the key should be that governing over your data, whether it's for any type of cloud application, web application, whatever it is that you're developing versus AI and generative AI use, it's not that different. It's going to be very much the same, but we just have there's this aspect of it all that we have a concern, um, and that we need to take this concern very seriously, because generative AI has the potential, because a lot of it is based on a lot of different aspects of cloud technologies that are in the public realm, that you might be exposing sensitive data. So data governance and data and segmenting that data and making sure you know what data you have, classifying that data appropriately, and taking that step further um, to make sure that you are monitoring what's going on with your data is going to be very important. So, generative AI responsibility. So, we've talked about the general pillars of AI responsibility, but now let's get a little bit into in the last couple slides here, generative AI responsibility. Now that we've kind of broken down the risk management aspect of it all and how we're going to handle risk and how we're going to make sure that we are governing over our data, that we are building a proper risk management strategy that aligns. Our organization is advocating for that. Our users have built training and awareness. How are we and now we are going to, we've built our data engineering models that govern over our data. We've got our sensitivity labels. We got our classifiers. We've tuned those properly, as was provided in detail in the previous presentation. How do we take that now the step further, and what are the things that we need to consider and understand in terms of generative AI, which those are the open AI, that's the chat GPT, that's Dolly, and and prompt, using prompt engineering to do things, all the co-pilots. How are we utilizing those responsibly to make sure that our data is not exposed? And again, planning responsibly, not much different than what we were saying before in terms of our data models, but these are the four stages of responsible AI. We need to identify, again, understand the potential harms. This goes back to things around transparency and the responsible, and even the pillars of responsible AI are all kind of triggered or aligned within here because we want to understand, where might there be bias, where might there be security and privacy concerns, where might we need to be compliant with, say, GDPR and things of that nature? Where might there, a key aspect of classifying and categorizing your data is understanding, the impact and likelihood of a risk being realized, and and if that risk is realized, what is that impact? Is that impact going to have a significant amount of harm to your organization, to the people of your organization, to human life? Are all things that we need to understand. The presence of these harms, we need to measure again the outputs and what might be generated by a particular solution. Again, what information is being presented, what information is being used, is that information sensitive as we are evaluating and building our models and building our generative AI solutions, building our applications that are using generative AI. Um, Even something as simple as building, an AI, utilizing an AI solution for planning your vacation, using ChatGPT to plan your vacation. You are putting information out there that has a level of privacy to it, especially if you take that a step further and the solution that you're utilizing, you've built maybe a booking solution that it plans out a vacation, does all the booking for you. Now you're putting credit card information out there, you're putting address information out there. How is that information being watched over, making sure that it is not made public, and things of that nature? How's that privacy being handled? And that all goes back to the transparency and accountability of responsible AI as well. We need to make sure that we as developers are transparent. We as users are diligent and understand what information we're sharing as well when we are utilizing things like Copilot within the Edge browser and things of that nature. What information are we sharing? How and is are we violating our own privacy in the prompts that we're giving to ChatGPT? Again, and then the aspect of if we do if there is some sort of exposure, we need to mitigate those exposures. We need to put controls in place. We need to govern over our data. We want to protect our data. We can use again the tools of Purview to mitigate that information and to put controls in place to put DLP policies in place that align with sensitivity labels and our trainable classifiers and all of those things. And then ultimately, obviously, we want to get into operations, but really we want to make sure we're properly testing and we're properly reviewing our information, our application before we put something in production. We want to make sure that we have proper deployment in place, we have a proper plan in place. We don't and we aren't putting applications out in production that have potential impacts and risks that we have not properly addressed and have proper use and readiness plan. Again, transparency, accountability within our organization, within the developers, within the users. Training and awareness is going to be very key as well. And last thing I'm going to share is before as we wrap up is building a digital trust. And Asaka has done, as I said, I'm a Microsoft trainer and also do other organizations. And Asaka is one of those. And Asaka has done a really good job of building this framework in this ecosystem called the digital trust. And we've always, people, process, and technology has always been kind of like a three-pillar thing that we always talk about when we're talking about any kind of application or talking about the cloud or data. But there's this, the fourth pillar here of the organization here as well. The people, the organization, the technology, and the process, and how we're handling this as as this concept of and this goes back to my little risk management strategy triangle of the organization, the mission, the people, the organization, the technology, the IT, the people, building a culture that is understanding to risk and risk management and risk awareness. That's aware of what the risks are. That's aware of what information they might be sharing. And so all of that alignment of understanding and building, from a technology standpoint, the architecture between technology and people, the human factors of awareness and understanding, and governing over the data themselves and what they're sharing and what they're not sharing, all go into this digital trust of our organization. And that brings everything to a close here. I just wanted to share that we do at my organization do a lot of AI training. We have some professional level training coming up as well that we offer at a special price. It's a 1-day training, and we have six sessions coming up in different areas over the course of the next few weeks through August and September, actually into October. We moved that project manager one actually to the first Friday in October. So the next one coming up is around AI ethics, and feel free to use this QR code if you'd like to register, or just reach out to me if you have any questions or anything. But that brings an end to my presentation. So again, thanks to all the organizers, the sponsors, to Microsoft and Panthera technology specifically, and everybody that has put in the time on this. This is a big time event to put on with the two tracks going an entire day. So thanks to everybody that has put this on. So that is all for me.
Thank you so much, Dwayne. We have additional 7 minutes left here, so if anybody has any questions or would like to ask Dwayne anything, do let us know. You can come off mute if you guys want. No? All right. And maybe Dwayne, you can leave your LinkedIn URL in the chat window as well for them to connect with you a little bit more easily. Yeah, if there's nothing else, we will start our quiz in track 1 in another 6 minutes. Please go ahead and sign up for the quiz. You do need to sign in and make sure you use your first and last name properly. Otherwise, we will have issues identifying who the winner was in the first place. So that might be a little bit problematic for us. So please do that. And again, thank you so much, Dwayne, for such an insightful session today. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and we'll see you in a while. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Thanks.